Welcome to Friendly Math 101. Today's lesson is over ordering linear equations by steepness. We're going to order these from least to most steep. When we're talking about steepness and linear equations, we always want to look at the slope. The slope, remember, is the m in the linear equation y equals mx plus b. So we're always looking at that m. The closer the m is to 0, the less steep it is. So if it's a number that is less than 1, then we're going to have a less steep line. If our numbers go further away from 0 in either direction, positive or negative, that's when we get more steep. So we need to remember the closer we are to 0, the less steep, the further away, the more steep. So if our numbers are big and they get bigger, we're getting more steep. Smaller numbers are less steep. Notice that, however, we are ignoring the negative signs. So we really don't want to look at negative signs. We just want to look at the number by itself. If it's bigger, it's more steep. So starting out, I just have these numbers here, and we want to order these from least to most steep. So the closer to 0, the least steep. The further from 0, the most steep. So remember, we want to ignore the negative sign. So the closer to 0, the least steep. So if I look at these numbers here, the ones closest to 0 is the least steep. Well, obviously 0 is closest to 0. So 0's first. Now I want to figure out the next closest number to 0. I have fractions and decimals. Well, let's just look at the decimal form. So I'm just going to convert these fractions to decimals. 1/4 is 0.25. Negative 3/5 is negative 0.6. Now it's a little bit easier to see, and I'll scratch these out. What number will come next? Again, ignoring the negative sign. So the next closest number to 0, or the least number from these numbers we have here, is this 0.18. That's the next smallest number. Then from there, my next smallest number is 0.25. And I'm going to write it how it was originally, 1/4. And I can cross that out. My next smallest number is this 0.6, which would be negative 3/5. And I can cross that one out. Again, I'm ignoring negative signs. That is very important. Now I have 1 and 2. 1 is obviously less than 2, so I put 1, and then my last number there would be negative 2. So I'm going from smallest number to biggest number, and I'm ignoring the negative signs. So that would be my order. This next example here, we're actually given equations, and we need to look at the equations to figure out the slope. Now, I'm going to go letter by letter, determining the slope of each line. So A is y equals 2x minus 5. My slope there is going to be 2, because it's the number attached to the x. In B, I have y equals 1/5 x plus 1. My m will be 1/5, because it's attached to the x. C, I have negative 3x, y equals negative 3x. Negative 3 is the one attached to my x. And D, I have y equals 5. Notice there is no x, so my slope there is 0. Now we need to look at these slopes and order them from least to most steep. So remember, we look at closer to 0 is least steep. So the closest number to 0 there is obviously 0, which is letter D. So that would be my first letter in my order. My next least steep one would be 1/5. That's smaller than my other two numbers because it's a fraction. So 1/5 there is going to be letter B. Then I have 2 and -3. Obviously 2 is less than 3. Remember, we ignore the negative sign. So my next letter is A. And then my last one, of course, is C. And so this would be the order of those lines. Thank you for watching, and for more math tutorials, please subscribe to our channel, Friendly Math 101.